special day. Parth, can I hand this to you? And this special day is the appearance day of the Varaha avatar. So it's very nice. So we'll read about and hear this pastime. The Varaha avatar is the divine boar. Can I actually suggest you get a picture of the Varaha avatar up there in that book while I find where it is we can where we can read about the Varaha. I believe it's in the 3rd canto. Yes. This chapter is called The Battle Between Lord Boar and the Demon Hiranyaksha. Is there no maybe we'll start with this verse. So before we begin, let's seek the blessings of our gurus, seek the blessings. We have a nice picture of Varaha. Look at that, yes. I don't know if that's factually, anatomically accurate with the roundness, but it's very nice.
Yeah, I keep reading interesting things regarding that.
Yeah, so, but there's cute. They made the Varaha avatar look very
But for whatever reason, Prabhupada had like instructed them to paint it like that.
This was instructed by Prabhupada. Was this after Prabhupada?
One of either this one. There's another one too. I'm not sure which one, but one of them was like kind of when they instructed by Prabhupada to draw them with the earth being
circle. So whatever the case is, no problem. So we'll Hey, no, what are you doing? Okay. So let's do our Mangala Charana. Maybe a lot of you may want to share this.
Chakshurmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Yati Swapadantikam Vandeham. Shri Yuta Padakamalam Gurun Vaisnavanscha.
What's wrong? Oh. Okay, what's the problem? Shri Rupa
Rupang Sagajatang Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadikam Harijana Satyam Krishna Shri Radha Krishna Padam
Sahagana Lalita
Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanta Nagarangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavani Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Alright,
No.
so I don't know, I think we're on about time here. I think it'll explode any minute here. But we'll see what can be done. Listen, just go down for now and play and see if you can be happy and peaceful. And if not, we'll have to adjust and get you to mom. So, let me see. What does he want here? Alright, so let's hear about the Varaha avatar. Very nice pastime. So I think we're on this verse here. We'll do at least one verse the traditional way and read the purport, and then we'll maybe just read the pastime so we can actually absorb ourselves a little bit here. So ready? Dadarsha tatra bijitang dadadadang Proniyamana vanimagradang straya Mushnantamakshna swaruchoruna shriya Shriya Jahasa chaho vanagocharo mriga Jai. So Dadarsha, he saw, Tatra, there, Abhijitam, the victorious, Dara, the earth, Dharam, bearing, Proni, Yamana, being raised upward, Avanim, the earth, Agra Dangstraya, by the tip of his tusk, Mushnantam, who was diminishing, Akshna, with his eyes, Swarucha, Hiranyaksha's own splendor, Aruna, reddish, Shriya, radiant, Jahasa, he laughed, Cha, and Aho, oh, Vanagochara, amphibious, Mriga, beast. Okay. So, he saw there the all-powerful personality of Godhead in his boar incarnation, bearing the earth upward on the ends of his tusks, and robbing him of his splendor with his reddish eyes. The demon laughed. Oh, an amphibious beast! Hare Krishna, Craig. Welcome. Today's a nice day to. We're fasting for Ekadashi today, but it's also Varaha Mahadwadashi. So you've probably heard of the Varaha avatar.
The what?
The Varaha avatar, or the Boar avatar. Yes. So this Boar avatar appeared today, and so we're asking the Lord to significantly bless us on this day and appear in our lives and defeat the atheistic demon Hiranyaksha in our hearts as well. And to, are you okay? Abhiram is not having a good day. He's teething, so now he has some like teething fever. Like his temperature is up a little higher than usual. And so anyway, he's a little bit more fragile.
I can relate.
Yes. You're also teething?
What?
You're
No,
also
I meant
teething?
Fever and stuff.
Oh, fever, yeah. It's unfortunate time of year.
We got our
What's that?
furnace installed yesterday, but still we were 6 hours while we were doing it
Without heat, yeah. So there's stress on the system. Try to be peaceful. Let's see if we can do it. So Prabhupada says in a previous chapter we've discussed the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Varaha, the boar. While Varaha, with his tusks, engaged in uplifting in the submerged earth from the depths of the waters, this great demon Hiranyaksha met him and challenged him, calling him a beast. Demons cannot understand the incarnations of the Lord. They think his incarnations as a fish or boar or tortoise are big beasts only. They misunderstand the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even in its human form, and they deride his descent. In the Chaitanya Sampradaya, there is sometimes a demoniac misconception about the descent of, Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu's body is spiritual, but demoniac persons consider the body of the Supreme Personality to be material, just like ours. This is a nice verse. Avajananti ma mudha. What is it? Manushim tanumashritam. Parambhavam ajananto. There's one more part. Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. So it's a very nice verse telling about how the fools, they deride Krishna when he comes to this world, when he assumes a body, and so on. So anyway, persons who have no intelligence deride the transcendental form of the Lord as material. So so Hiranyaksha, when he's seeing this divine boar form of the Lord, he's thinking it's just a beast. And also similarly in our lives, we also often don't recognize the Lord when the Lord comes in different forms, through different people, through different situations, and we just consider it, this is just some nonsense thing that has happened. But actually, the Lord is always trying to help us and instruct us through different means. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, we'll actually get to see a direct incarnation of the Lord, like the Varaha avatar, but not so. I assume Prabhupada mentioned Nityananda Prabhu because Nityananda Prabhu he appears tomorrow. So maybe Prabhupada is also celebrating the Varaha avatar. And then going to Nityananda Prabhu. So that's an interesting verse. So let's see, I think from here, let's just read the English. So the demon addressed the Lord, "O best of the demigods, dressed in the form of a boar, just hear me. This earth, I didn't tell how. This earth is entrusted to us, the inhabitants of the lower regions, and you cannot take it from my presence and not be hurt by me." So he was blaspheming. But you guys know how Varaha appeared?
I do.
Well, okay. If you watch the Mahavatar Nrsimha movie, it's actually, I didn't realize.
I did watch it.
If you remember in the beginning, the boar incarnation was there because it has to do with Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So, that wasn't mentioned in the movie, but there was originally the fall of Jai and Vijay. So, basically what happened is that in the spiritual world, the Lord had some desire to have a fight. But in the spiritual world, there's no one for the Lord to fight. He cannot have. So, Jai and Vijay, as his servants and doorkeepers, they recognized the Lord wants to fight, but there's no way. I don't know how I want to fulfill his desire. So next thing we know, from the material world, the 4 Kumaras appeared. And the 4 Kumaras, because they're not completely pure, even though they're very pure and they've reached a very elevated stage where they could even go to Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay stopped them, also for the purpose of fulfilling the Lord's desire to wanting to fight. So the Jai and Vijay stopped them and said, "You cannot enter here, you're a bunch of naked boys," and things like that. They likely detected that there was just still a little tinge of material pride left in the 4 Kumaras. Even though they're great transcendentalists and they made it all the way to the Vaikuntha world, as they're trying to enter Vaikuntha, there was just one last thing where these doorkeeper weren't letting them in. And so, instead of 4 Kumaras keeping their composure completely, they got angry because they were so close to their goal of discovering Vaikuntha that they cursed Jai and Vijay to fall down. You don't belong in this world. Why are you having any material considerations for us? How could those who are not pure enter Vaikuntha? And so, at that, that last little tinge of material pride was there, so they ended up cursing Jai and Vijay. So this was part of Jai and Vijay's and the Lord's ultimate plan, because Jai and Vijay wanted to serve the Lord in Vira Ras, and the only way they can do that is if they were to descend to the material world. So the Lord had arranged that the 4 Kumaras would come, and this would happen. So then Jai and Vijay, they come to the material world in the form of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. I don't know if you remember in the beginning of the Mahavatar Nrsinga movie, they have like this little hut in the forest, and there's the sage, and he's doing the yagya there, and then all of a sudden his wife, Diti, she approaches him very lustfully at the wrong time. So this is the difference between performing Garbhadan Samskara, or a samskara for, to bring an elevated soul to the world, or just acting on one's whims, or acting on one's own lusts. And so Diti convinced Kashyapa to act on his own lusts and do it. There was no consideration of proper time. And actually during a sandhya, when he was doing his purificatory rites, you would never ever want to do this act, because the demons are transitioning at that time. And so it all was Krishna's arrangement. And Jai and Vijay, because Jai and Vijay, they had the choice. You can take 7 births in the material world as demigods, or you can take 3 births as demons. That's your choice.
What other demons were they besides
Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, then they were Ravana and Kumbhakarna in the Ram Leela. And then they were Shishupal and Dantavakra in Krishna Leela. And then they even came for a bonus time to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Jai and Vijay. Or not, Jagai and Madhai, thank you. Pardon. Jagai and Madhai. So yeah, they came at that perfect time as demons. Because when instead of doing Garbhadan Samskara, the lust, the lust overtook Diti, and then also Kashyapa had his hands tied behind his back because his wife would not stop, and so he ended up doing. But then he was very disturbed with her and angry with her afterwards, and he said, "Some great calamity will now fall upon us in the whole world." And then Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they were the appearance of this great calamity. And for the material world, they were a great calamity. But in the spiritual world, in the spiritual Leela, it's now going to give the Lord an opportunity to do what he wanted to do, to experience this Vira Rasa, or to fight. So he'll come down here and fight. There's no one here in this material world worth fighting. If you can imagine, like us fighting against, I don't know, let's say an ant. Even though millions of ants could easily overtake one of us, but if we're so much higher and more superior than an ant, we can't really have a good fight with an ant. So the only personality that could have a good fight with the Lord is actually his devotee. So his devotee, they descended as Jai and Vijay, and so on. So now, when Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were terrorizing the earth, which is what they would do, that's what demons do, all the demigods, they get together and they pray to who? Yeah, Lord Brahma, or even Lord Vishnu. And they pray to Lord Brahma because he's the chief of the demigods, and Lord Brahma prays to Vishnu because he's the chief of the universe. And so, because the demigods are not the purest of devotees, they're always materially concerned. So they pray, "Oh my gosh, my material situations are falling apart. Lord, like even, in my life, I have, especially this year, have had all kinds of material obstacles enter my life. Like never before. But still, when the day before Ekadashi, when all of these things could easily be resolved, and I go and I sit in the morning during Brahma Muhurta and I say, okay, my intention for this Ekadashi, and as much as I want to say all of the material things that are in my heart, I say, you know about all these things, Lord, and you have a plan for them. Please just increase my devotion to you. Because that's actually the proper mood. As devotees, we're not supposed to want to pray for our material prosperity. We're supposed to pray, do whatever it takes to increase my devotion to you. Does that mean I lose my money? Fine. Does that mean I lose my wife? or my relationship, fine. Does that mean even I have to lose my child? Fine. If that's, that's what sarva dharma and parityaja means. Abandoning all dharma, I just surrender to you. And that's what Krishna instructs Arjuna to do. Not to say that we should willingly abandon our children, willingly abandon our wives or our relationships, or willingly abandon our jobs. But if push comes to shove and I have to choose between my material thing and the Lord, I choose the Lord. So that's pure devotion. But the demigods aren't at that pure devotion. So now he sees you. It's over. So go ahead. So the demigods are actually not at that pure devotion. They're in the position of demigods because they wanted greater opulence in the material world. So Indra and the gang, Chandra, Surya, all of them, even though Surya is said to be an expansion of the Lord. But the demigods, they are more concerned with their material positions than they are actual in devotion to the Lord. But they will act in devotion to the Lord. So now, the demon Vishnu, he came from the nose of Lord Brahma. As soon as the prayer was there, all of a sudden Lord Brahma had some booger. It just like dripped down from his nose. And so, wouldn't you know, so everyone is, Lord Brahma is like, what is this? And all of a sudden a boar comes out. Now we should also know, this is the depiction of the red Varaha avatar. There's also, I believe, a white Varaha avatar as well. And so there's different Varaha avatars during different kalpas and times. Which one is explained in the Bhagavatam isn't exactly clear, actually. And our acharyas make some different comments on this. But for the sake, one of the Varaha avatars appeared, and from Lord Brahma's nose, and then all of a sudden it started as a little boar booger, and then all of a sudden it expanded into a giant, beautiful boar with all kinds of ornaments and a mace and all of the weapons of Vishnu, and then it was really quite an incredible scene.
Do the scriptures say booger?
What? No, the scriptures do not say booger.
He like shot out of the nose.
Like he sneezed.
Yeah, some.
He came out. It wasn't like he was
So
a
I'm just
booger and then
thinking.
turned into a boar.
Yeah.
Like,
Something like this. It might say that he sneezed, but whatever it is, Lord Varaha came out of Lord Brahma's nose. That's how he appeared in this world. So today it happened. Today was the day that Lord Brahma sneezed out, the booger of Lord Varaha, the transcendental booger of Lord Varaha, has come. So
that's a borderline thing.
it might be borderline offensive, but it's not an actual booger, because booger is like dirts and things that your body doesn't want in the mucus forms to get it out. But he came from the nose. So okay, let's just hear now what. And then Hiranyaksha was terrorizing the earth, and the earth was actually submerged under all kinds of causal waters. And all of the universe was terrorized by these two. And how did they come? How did the two great demons come to the material world? Yes, improper union. So it's also a great lesson that in this act, if we don't do things properly, we cannot expect a good result, actually. We cannot expect ultimately an auspicious result. So, we should know that this is one of the reasons that Prabhupada emphasizes many times over the importance of Garbhadan Samskara. And Garbhadan Samskara is spiritual sex, but for the purpose of inviting a child to be God conscious, to be a devotee in the world. And then other than that, it's not really a recommended or good idea in this world. But anyhow, this pastime kind of emphasizes this. Now we have Varaha has come, and he's met with Hiranyaksha. He went to the bottom of the causal waters, and he had taken the earth, which was trapped down there, and now is raising the earth above the waters. So on his tusks. Now, what this actually looks like, we have a painting right here. This is a depiction. What this actually looks like, it may have looked completely different to three-dimensional eyes. There could be some figurative elements here. Who knows? I don't know, at least. But if you read the commentaries of the acharyas, I have yet to on this pastime, but they may go into deeper detail of this pastime and what it could look like. But anyhow, let's just read from the Bhagavatam from here. Oh, can you guys see? Yes, okay. The demon addressed the Lord, "O best of the demigods, dressed in the form of a boar, just hear me. This earth is entrusted to us, the inhabitants of the lower regions, and you cannot take it from my presence and not be hurt by me. You rascal, you've been nourished by our enemies to kill us, and you have killed some demons by remaining invisible. O fool, your power is only mystic. So today I shall enliven my kinsmen by killing you." The demon continued, "When you fall dead, with your skull smashed by the mace hurled by my arms, the demigods and sages, and who offer you oblations and sacrifice in devotional service, will also automatically cease to exist, like trees without roots. Although the Lord was pained by the shaft-like abusive words of the demons, he bore the pain. But seeing that the earth on the ends of his tusks was frightened, he rose out of the water just as an elephant emerges with its female companion when assailed by an alligator." Actually, interesting fun fact that the demigod of the earth, Bhumi, and Varaha is the boar, actually they had a son. I don't know, it's not explained when, but that son was ultimately again killed by the Lord in a further incarnation. And do you know who killed him? That son? Which incarnation killed that son? What's that? No.
Krishna?
Yeah, Dwarkadish Krishna. When he goes to rescue, this is how he gets 16,000 other queens, because that son had conquered them. So anyhow, so although the Lord was pained by the shaft-like abusive words of the demon, he bore the pain. But seeing that the earth on the ends of his tusks was frightened, he rose out of the water just as an elephant emerges with its female companion when assailed by an alligator. The demon, who had golden hair on his head and fearful tusks, gave chase to the Lord while he was rising from the water, even as an alligator would chase an elephant. Roaring like thunder, he said, "Are you not ashamed of running away before a challenging adversary? There is nothing reproachable for shameless creatures." So the Lord immediately runs from the demon, which is kind of funny. So the Lord placed the earth within his sight on the surface of the water and transferred to her his own energy in the form of the ability to float on the water. While the enemies stood looking on, Brahma, the creator of the universe, extolled the Lord, and the other demigods rained flowers on him. So this is the explanation the Srimad Bhagavatam gives, is how the earth is floating on the water, so to say. We see things like islands and so many things, how the earth is above the water. So this is actually apparently here an ability given by the Lord during this time. So the demon, who had a wealth of ornaments, bangles, and beautiful golden armor on his body, chased the Lord from behind with a great mace. The Lord tolerated his piercing ill words, but in order to reply to him, he expressed his terrible anger. So I should mention, one of the pastimes that happened with why the Lord came is Hiranyaksha. He had terrorized all of the upper planetary systems, and then he submerged into the water, and he terrorized all of the aquatic systems down there, and he eventually challenged and insulted Varuna. And when Varuna, he realized he was completely outmatched, then they pleaded with the rest of the demigods to Brahma. And then when from Brahma, then that's how it came. And so Varuna had at that time control over the earth. The earth was submerged under the water at that time. So So the demon who had a wealth of ornaments, bangles, and beautiful golden armor on his body chased the Lord from behind with a great mace. The Lord tolerated his piercing ill words, but in order to reply to him, he expressed his terrible anger. Okay. The personality of Godhead said, "Indeed, we are creatures of the jungle, and we are searching after hunting dogs like you. One who is freed from the entanglement of death has no fear from the loose talk in which you are indulging. For you are bound up by the laws of death." I wonder what loose talk, what the vikathanam. Let's hear Prabhupada's purport on this. Demons and atheistic persons can go on insulting the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they forget that they are subjected to the laws of birth and death. They think that simply by decrying the existence of the Supreme Lord or defying his stringent laws of nature, one can be freed from the clutches of birth and death. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that simply by understanding the transcendental nature of God, one can go back home, back to Godhead. What's the verse? But demons and atheistic persons do not try to understand the nature of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they remain in the entanglement of birth and death. You know the verse? Very famous verse. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma mameti mam naiti mam eti sojana. Yeah. So this is the verse explaining this exact thing. But the demons and atheistic persons do not try to understand the nature of the Supreme Lord. Now, Hiranyaksha, remember, he is actually a great devotee of the Lord at the soul level. But he is here only to give the Lord a proper fight and also to set up a Leela which can teach us all these things. You know, we should be very careful with our words. We should be very careful in not to insult the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord, and then the devotees of the Lord. We should never insult them. And if we hear insults to them, we should burn that like fire. We should burn that like fire. It's, we should never tolerate these things. Like Hanuman. Hanuman, he is, anger has a function. You know, like in order to fight, you have to be angry. No one can fight not angry. Have like a little loving tussle. It's not, fighting needs to be anger. But what is actually worth being angry for? There's only two things. Blasphemy of the Lord and blasphemy of the devotee of the Lord. That's why Krishna, why does he come? He says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam shrajam yaham. When there is an increase of irreligion and a decrease in religion and an increase of religion, and I will come at that time. And then he says, Paritranaya sadhunam, to deliver the sadhus, to deliver my devotees, and vinashaya chadushkritam, and to destroy the evildoers. Dharma samstapanarthaya, yes. Sambhavami yuge yuge, yes. So, with the purpose of establishing religion. So that's one of the external reasons why the Lord is coming. But these pastimes are all meant to instruct us on what is the proper function. What is it that we should be doing? Do we want to go on in demonic atheistic life? Or, seeking only pleasure and power in the material world? Or is there something higher to focus on? Like the divine nature of the Lord and his activities. Knowing about his, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, his divine appearances, like today, the Varaha avatar, and his activities. So this is what the devotee's life is. We get together and we want to hear about the Janma Karma of the Lord. Oh, the Lord appeared in this form on this day. Oh, the Lord. Tomorrow he appears as Nityananda Prabhu. So we gather and we always want to hear about the Lord and his activities. This is like what the devotees do. Like, right? Satatam kirtayantam. They're always glorifying the Lord. And his what? His janma and his karma. His appearances and his activities. So, we'll continue. Certainly we have stolen the charge of the inhabitants of Versatila and have lost all shame. Although bitten by your powerful mace, I shall stay here in the water for some time, because having created enmity with a powerful enemy, I now have no place to go. So he's saying he stole the charge of the inhabitants of Rasatala, because the Earth was under the Rasatala, or the lower planetary systems at that point, and he brought it up to where it is now, the middle planetary system. But I have no place. Having created enmity with a powerful enemy, I now have no place to go. You are supposed to be the commander of many foot soldiers, and now you may take prompt steps to overthrow us. Give up all your foolish talk and wipe out the cares of your kith and kin by slaying us. One may be proud, yet he does not deserve a seat in an assembly if he fails to fulfill his promised word. So also we speak many words sometimes. Oh, I'm like this, I'm like this. But if we cannot fulfill our word, then it's useless. One of the qualities of a Brahmin is that their words always come true, which means they only speak truth. And that the more that we give up this asadvarta, or this untrue talks, or mundane talks, then actually we can be considered more Brahminical. Raghunath Das Goswami, he considers these proud, mundane talks to be like a prostitute who we should abandon, because she's plundering all of our greatest wealth. And what is that? It's our intelligence. So our intelligence should only speak the truth, and only speak ultimately about the Lord. That's one thing here. So Maitreya said, so you have to understand the context. Why are all these pastimes coming about? This is when Maitreya Rishi and Vidura had met. Vidura, you guys read into this far into the Bhagavatam or no? That's okay. So Vidura and Uddhava have pastimes, Krishna's dear devotee. And Vidura wants Uddhava to be his guru, but it's an inappropriate relationship because Uddhava is so much younger. Even though Uddhava is plenty qualified to be his guru, because of the relationship, Uddhava felt uncomfortable and he directed him to go to Maitreya Rishi. Because Maitreya also heard the same pastimes instructions from Krishna at the end. So then Maitreya and Vidura had a wonderful conversation which composes the whole 3rd and 4th cantos of the Bhagavatam. Maybe even into the 5th canto, I don't remember. So anyway, that's why Maitreya is a great rishi instructing Vidura. He's saying that Maitreya said the demon, being thus challenged by the personality of Godhead, became angry and agitated, and he trembled in anger like a challenged cobra, hissing indignantly. What does indignantly mean? Do any of you know?
Well, indignant means it's usually like offensive.
So let's look up if that's the case. Feeling or showing anger or annoyance at what is perceived as unfair treatment. So he's feeling like the Lord is acting offensively towards him. Hissing indignantly, all his senses shaken by wrath, the demon quickly sprang upon the Lord and dealt him a blow with his powerful mace. The Lord, however, by moving slightly aside, dodged the violent mace blow aimed at his breast by the enemy, just as an accomplished yogi would elude death. So this is nice poetry. I just want to read the purport of Prabhupada. The example is given here in that the perfect yogi can overcome a death blow, although it is offered by the laws of nature. It is useless for a demon to beat the transcendental body of the Lord with a powerful mace, for no one can surpass his prowess. Those who are advanced transcendentalists are freed from the laws of nature, and even a death blow cannot act on them. Superficially, it may be seen that a yogi is attacked by a death blow, but by the grace of the Lord he can overcome many such attacks for the service of the Lord. As the Lord exists by his own independent prowess, by the grace of the Lord the devotees also exist for his service. So, the yogis, they can actually elude death, and many of them do. If you see, some of the Prabhupada he attended the Kumbh Mela when he was here, and he brought many devotees, and he instructed the devotees should be very careful when you deal with these personalities, because there are many accomplished yogis here, and some of them are hundreds of years old. Hundreds of years old. We can't even imagine. This is how I started getting into Krishna consciousness and Bhakti Yoga, because I started reading about phenomena of yogis who were, living in mountain ranges and living hundreds of years. And I started like, wow. And one of my friends, when I was a hippie, one of my friend's dads, he gave me a book on it, and I started reading it. And it was about like the diet that they had and stuff. So I was actually trying to practice like this and attain these mystic cities. This is how I became into Krishna consciousness and things like that. But yeah, the yogis, can conquer death. And even, old age, all these things by their mystic ability. So anyhow, personality of God had now exhibited his anger and rushed to meet the demon, who bit his lip in rage, took up his mace again, and began to repeatedly brandish it about. Then with his mace the Lord struck the enemy on the right of his brow. But since the demon was expert in fighting, O gentle Vidura, he protected himself by a maneuver of his own mace. In this way the demon Hiranyaksha and the Lord, the personality of Godhead, struck each other with their huge maces, each enraged and seeking his own victory. Actually, it says Haryaksha is another name for Hiranyaksha, the demon. I thought it was a typo. Each enraged and seeking his own victory. And we remember, this commentary and explanation of the Lord wanting to have a fight, because many people, this is where the whole you can fall from Vaikuntha thing comes from. Many immature devotees, they made the assumption from this pastime that, look, just see, Jai and Vijay can fall from Vaikuntha. But if you hear about the descriptions of Vaikuntha, you're not overcome by any of the lower modes of nature, so you can never make an offense that would cause you to fall from Vaikuntha. So this seems like a contradiction. How could they have fallen from Vaikuntha? But actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Madhurya Kadambini, actually, he gives the elucidation on this, how the reason they came, the only way you can fall from Vaikuntha is in service. So actually, that's exactly what they did. So that's, so now the Lord's service is being fulfilled. He wanted to fight, he had a desire for Vira Ras, and now he's actually getting a good fight with his devotee, Hiranyaksha. So there was keen rivalry between the two combatants. Both had sustained injuries on their bodies from the blows of each other's pointed maces, and each grew more and more enraged at the smell of blood on his person. In their eagerness to win, they performed maneuvers for various kinds, and their contest looked like an encounter between two forceful bulls for the sake of a cow. So, O descendant of Kuru, Brahma, the most independent demigod of the universe, accompanied by his followers, came to see the terrible fight for the sake of the world between the demon and the personality of Godhead, who appeared in the form of a boar. After arriving at the place of combat, Brahma, the leader of thousands of sages and transcendentalists, saw the demon, who had attained such unprecedented power that no one could fight with him. Brahma then addressed Narayan, who was assuming the form of a boar for the first time. And we should understand, why do people fight? Why are these people fighting, in UFC or boxing and things? There's actually a pleasure that comes in the competition of a fight. Even look at all the heroes we worshipped as kids. They're all fighters, Batman and Superman, and he beats up this guy. And there's a pleasure in overcoming the evildoer. So this is also in the Lord. And so he also wants to, he likes experiencing the rus, or the taste of vira, of heroism. So this is also there. So Brahma, he said, "My dear Lord, this demon has proved to be a constant pinprick to the demigods, the Brahmins, the cows, and innocent persons who are spotless and always dependent upon worshipping your lotus feet. He has become a source of fear by unnecessarily harassing them. Since he has attained a boon from me, he has become a demon, always searching for a proper combatant, wandering all over the universe for this infamous purpose." Does it say in this thing the boon? So I don't remember
I
here.
don't remember Hiranyaksha.
Yeah, that's what I also don't remember Hiranyaksha getting the boon. So let's read the purport.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I need to go soon, actually.
Yes.
I wasn't sure how much longer.
Yes.
I mean,
So
I find this interesting, certainly, but
yes. So why don't we wrap up here?
I don't want to disrupt anything.
No. It's okay. So this is just talking about. Well, we can investigate that later. Why don't we just read a few more then? Lord Brahma continued, "My dear Lord, there's no need to play with this serpentine demon who is always very skilled in conjuring tricks and is arrogant, self-sufficient, and most wicked." Brahma continued, "My dear Lord, you are infallible. Please kill this sinful demon before the demoniac hour arrives and he presents another formidable approach favorable to him. You can kill him by your internal potency without doubt. My Lord, the darkest evening which covers the world is fast approaching. Since you are the soul of all souls, kindly kill him and win victory for the demigods. The auspicious period known as Abhijit, which is most opportune for victory. It's an astrological configuration. Commenced at midday and has all but passed. Therefore, in the interest of your friends, please dispose of this formidable foe quickly." So the favorable time for the Lord's victory is just about to pass. "This demon, luckily for us, has come of his own accord to you, his death ordained by you. Therefore, exhibiting your ways, kill him in the duel and establish the worlds in peace." And I think maybe we'll just go to
What chapter is this?
this chapter 18 of the third canto. So this is the killing of the demon, Hiranyaksha. So after hearing the words of Brahma, the Creator, which were free from all sinful purposes and as sweet as nectar, the Lord heartily laughed and accepted his prayer with a glance laden with love. The Lord, who had appeared from the nostril of Brahma, sprang and aimed his mace at the chin of his enemy, the Hiranyaksha demon, who was stalking fearlessly before him. Struck by the demon's mace, however, the Lord's mace slipped from his hand and looked splendid as it fell down whirling. This was miraculous, for the mace was blazing wonderful. Even though the demon had an excellent opportunity to strike his unarmed foe without obstruction, he respected the law of single combat, thereby kindling the fury of the Supreme Lord. So he kind of instead of taking the opportunity to try to kill the Lord, he respected the law of single combat. Like, come on, let's have a fair fight. And this made the Lord even more angry. As the Lord's mace fell to the ground and a cry of alarm arose from the witnessing crowd of gods and rishis, the personality of God had acknowledged the demon's love of righteousness and therefore invoked his Sudarshan discus. As the discus began to revolve in the Lord's hands, and the Lord contended at close quarters with the chief of his Vaikuntha attendants, who had been born as Hiranyaksha, a vile son of Diti, there issued from every direction strange expressions uttered by those who were witnessing from airplanes. They had no knowledge of the Lord's reality, and they cried, "May victory attend you. Pray, dispatch him. Play no more with him." When the demon saw the personality of Godhead, who had eyes just like lotus petals, standing in position before him, armed with his Sudarshan discus, his senses were overpowered by indignation. He began to hiss like a serpent, and he bit his lip in great resentment. The demon, who had fearful tusks, stared at the personality of God as though to burn him. Springing into the air, he aimed his mace at the Lord, exclaiming at the same time, "You are slain!" O saintly Vidura, while his enemy looked on, the Lord in his boar form, the enjoyer of all sacrificial offerings, playfully knocked down the mace with his left foot, even as it came upon him with the force of a tempest. So then the Lord did the same thing to him. He said, "Take up your weapon and try again, eager as you are to conquer me." Challenging these words, the demon aimed his mace at the Lord and once more loudly roared. When the Lord saw the mace flying toward him, he stood firmly where he was and caught it with the same ease as Garuda, the king of birds, would seize a serpent. His valor thus frustrated, the great demon felt humiliated and was put out of countenance. He was reluctant to take back the mace when it was offered by the personality of Godhead. And he now took a trident, which was as rapacious as a flaming fire, and hurled it against the Lord, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, even as one would use penance for a malevolent purpose against a holy Brahmin. Hurled by the mighty demon with all his strength, the flying trident shone brightly in the sky. The personality of Godhead, however, tore it to pieces with his discus Sudarshan, which had a sharp-edged rim, even as Indra cut off a wing of Garuda. The demon was enraged when his trident was cut to pieces by the discus of the personality of Godhead. He therefore advanced towards the Lord, and roaring aloud, struck his hard fist against the Lord's broad chest, which bore the mark of Srivats. Then he went out of sight. Hit in this manner by the demon, O Vidura, the Lord who had appeared as the first boar did not feel the least quaking in any part of his body, any more than an elephant would when struck with a wreath of flowers. So, it looks like it's going to be yes. So anyway, the Lord is about to kill him. We'll do it. Well, you guys can read later on if you'd like, but it's a very nice pastime, and I'm just glad that we got to do it on Viraha Dwadashi. It's a very auspicious day.
If you want, I can just quickly pack up my day to go and I can finish it.
Yeah, if you want, or you could just finish later. So let's. Why don't we just do Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So. Virahadev Mahadwadashi Ki Jai. So anyhow, this is a very nice pastime with the Lord. We can hear about the Lord's fighting and activities and even